Welcome back, fellow wanderers. Come in from the cold. Outside, the world rushes by, a blur of rain-streaked lights and hurried footsteps. But in here, in this space, we've carved out together, time slows down. Here we gather around the digital campfire, sharing whispers of the strange and the unseen. It's a place for those who find comfort in the shadows and wonder what lies just beyond the veil of the ordinary. If you find a home in these stories, tales that make you think, dream, or perhaps shiver just a little, then I invite you to become a more permanent part of this circle. Every like, comment, and share is a log on the fire, keeping the darkness at bay. Subscribing ensures you never miss a story, and it helps our small community of curious souls grow, allowing me to bring ever more mysterious tales from the forgotten corners of the world directly to you. Now, settle in. Have you ever truly looked at your reflection? Not just a passing glance, but a long, steady gaze into the eyes of the person staring back. Have you ever felt for a fleeting second that they weren't just you, that perhaps they knew something you didn't? Let's explore that feeling together. Let's begin today's story. The reflection that spoke back. Evan had always trusted what he saw in the mirror. It was a fundamental law of his universe, as reliable as gravity. The man in the glass was him. Same tired eyes, same faint scar above the left eyebrow from a childhood fall, same predictable movements. The reflection was a silent, constant companion in the quiet moments that bookended his days. It was a confirmation of self, a grounding presence in the sterile white box of his bathroom. Every morning the ritual began with a splash of cold water, a jolt to the system. Every night it ended the same way, washing away the grime of the city, the fatigue of the day. And there he was, always, the same face staring back, a constant, unchanging truth. Until one evening it blinked before he did. It was a flicker, a neurological misfire, a trick of the light. That's what he told himself. His own eyes, heavy with exhaustion, must have fluttered, and his brain simply processed the sequence incorrectly. At first he thought he was tired. It was the only logical explanation. He'd been working late for weeks, fueled by lukewarm coffee and the pressure of deadlines. His sleep was a shallow, restless thing. Of course his senses were playing tricks on him. But as he stared, trying to replicate the glitch, it happened again. The reflection's eyes flickered a split second too soon, a tiny, almost playful movement that sent a cold spike down his spine. It was a deliberate, independent action. He laughed it off, a dry, hollow sound that didn't reach his eyes. He splashed more cold water on his face, the shock a welcome distraction, and went to bed, pulling the covers up to his chin like a child warding off monsters. He told himself tomorrow it would be gone, but the next night the reflection smiled. It wasn't a big smile. It was a subtle, unnerving curl of the lips, a private joke shared with no one. It was the kind of smile you see on a stranger in a crowd that makes the hair on your arms stand up. He didn't. His own face was a mask of weary neutrality, his mind on the mundane task of brushing his teeth. He froze, toothbrush, halfway to his mouth. The low hum of the bathroom fan suddenly seemed deafening. He held his breath, every muscle tensed, waiting. The grin in the mirror widened, stretching unnaturally, showing a sliver of teeth that caught the overhead light. It was no longer subtle. It was a declaration. Then it mouthed something. The movements were slow, deliberate, exaggerated for clarity. Evan felt a wave of nausea as he watched the silent words form on the lips of his own face. He couldn't hear it, of course. There was no sound. But in the profound, ringing silence of his own terror, he could read it perfectly. I'm awake. The lights flickered violently, plunging the room into a strobing nightmare of light and shadow. His pulse quickened to a frantic, painful rhythm. He turned away, stumbling back, heart thudding against his ribs like a trapped bird. When he dared to look back, forcing his head to turn, the reflection was normal again. It mimicked his fear, his wide eyes, his ragged breathing. It was just him, just a mirror. Evan tried to reason with himself over the next few days. It had to be stress, insomnia, maybe a small, undiagnosed neurological issue. He searched online for visual hallucinations, phantom expressions, Capgras delusion. He found articles and forums filled with possibilities, but none of them felt right. None of them captured the chilling intelligence he'd seen in those eyes. He started avoiding his own gaze in shop windows, in the dark screen of his phone. The world was becoming a minefield of reflective surfaces. But soon, his reflection began doing things first. The lag was gone. Now it was leading the dance, moving a little faster, raising its hand to scratch an itch an instant before he felt it, tilting its head the wrong way, a blatant defiance of physics that made his stomach churn. It was toying with him, testing its boundaries. He needed proof. He needed to know if he was losing his mind. He filmed it on his phone, his hand trembling so badly he had to brace it against the doorframe. He performed a series of simple movements, blinking, smiling, turning his head. Every playback looked fine. On the small screen, the movements were perfectly synchronized. A wave of relief washed over him, so potent it made him dizzy. It was all in his head. But the relief was quickly replaced by a creeping, colder dread. He had to be sure. He slowed it down. Frame by painstaking frame, the truth revealed itself. There it was, undeniable, captured in digital amber. The reflection smiled before he did. The image in the mirror moved a fraction of a second ahead, its expression of amusement already forming, while his own face was still neutral. It knew it was being watched. It performed. 3 nights later, he covered every mirror in the apartment. The one in the bathroom, the full-length one on the closet door, the small decorative one in the hallway. He used old bed sheets and painter's tape, his movements frantic and methodical. The apartment felt claustrophobic, blinded, but for the first time in weeks he felt a sliver of peace. He had cut it off. That's when he heard the knocking. It wasn't coming from the front door or the window, it was coming from inside. A soft, hollow tap, 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 from behind the sheet covering the bathroom glass. It was a patient, rhythmic sound, the sound of something wanting to be let in or out. He told himself not to look. He pressed his back against the opposite wall, his breath catching in his throat. He squeezed his eyes shut, as if that could block out the sound. Just ignore it. It's the pipes, it's the neighbours, it's anything but what you think it is. He almost made it. He turned, his hand on the doorknob, ready to flee his own home, but the tapping stopped, and in the sudden heavy silence, a worse feeling took hold. Curiosity, a terrible human need to know. When he finally pulled the sheet down, his reflection wasn't there. The sheet fell to the floor in a soft heap, and the mirror showed him nothing, just an empty, dark rectangle where his face should be. The mirror still reflected the edges of the room, the tiled walls, the light fixture, but the space he occupied was a void, a patch of perfect absorbing blackness. He leaned closer, his breath fogging the cold surface of the glass. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the silent room. Where had it gone? That's when he saw movement, not on the surface of the mirror, but within its impossible depth. A subtle shift in the darkness. His reflection was behind the glass, as if standing in another identical room, just beyond the silvering. It was standing perfectly still, looking out at him, smiling through the barrier that separated their worlds. It raised a hand, pressed its palm flat against its side of the glass, and mouthed 2 final words. Your turn. The bathroom light died with a sharp pop. plunging him into absolute darkness. A cold, glassy surface pressed against his back, and from the darkness in front of him, from the space where he had just been standing, he heard his own voice whisper, so close it felt like it was inside his own ear, "I'm free." And so the story concludes. Thank you for lending your ear, for walking alongside our protagonist through the shadowed corridors of their mind. We appreciate you joining us on this journey, fellow wanderers. It's in the shared experience of a tale, in the quiet moments after the final word, that we find a unique connection, a shared shiver in the dark. If this story resonated with you, if it left a lingering question in the quiet of your room, consider leaving a like or a comment below. Your thoughts and theories breathe new life into these narratives, adding another layer to the world we've built. Sharing this video or subscribing to the channel does more than just help our little community of storytellers grow. It signals that there's a hunger for stories that explore the darker, more intricate corners of human experience. It helps us find more listeners like you who appreciate the art of the unsettling. There are many more tales waiting in the wings, each one a different reflection, a different fear, a different truth. We believe that stories are how we make sense of the world, and sometimes how we make sense of the things that don't. So stay a while longer. You can find another story to get lost in by clicking the video on your screen now. Come join us again right here on Insightful Wanderer, because in this place the stories never truly sleep. They're just waiting for someone to listen.